What's good, people? It's your boy Lowry. What's good, people? It's your boy Lowry. What's good, people? It's your boy Lowry.
True hippie.
Yes. Good evening. Welcome, everyone. So we've got some people live already, man. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the EverythingLowery Show, guys. Your weekly rundown of the biggest film and TV stories. I have another jam-packed show for you tonight, man. So we're gonna jump straight into it. First, I'm gonna be talking about the new Toy Story 5 teaser trailer. We're gonna get into that. We've got to start talking about that. Then I'm going to be getting into Jimmy Olsen, which is a character that featured in the Superman film that came out earlier this year. That character's getting their own spin-off TV series with Warner. Then I'm going to bring it to Alien Earth 2, season 2 news. Oscar Isaac as well. He's talking about maybe reuniting with Star Wars. Then I've got some stuff that literally came up as I was about to go live, so that was the reason for the delay. And you know what, I want to make sure that I always, bring you the latest information and stuff. So yeah, apologies for the delay, but I had to add this in the show. So Jason Momoa has a new show coming out on Apple TV, and we had the latest from a fan favorite of mine. So yeah, welcome to the show, guys. And without further ado, man, I think let's start off strong. Let's start off with Toy Story 5. I mean, who doesn't like Toy Story? Let me just start with that. But yeah, this week the Toy Story 5 trailer, they released it. So the toys are back. Disney and Pixar dropped the first teaser trailer for Toy Story 5. Damn. This film started in, I think, 95. This franchise started in 95. And yeah, it looks like we have Woody, Buzz, and the gang all back. And they're heading into this new high-tech era. So I'll get into what it's about, and then I'll play the teaser trailer. So the teaser trailer is going to introduce us to Lilypad, who is a smart frog-shaped tablet that basically turns playtime into chaos. Buzz, Woody, and Jesse and the rest of the crew go head-to-head with this new digital threat. Greta Lee joins the cast as the voice of Lilypad, with Conan O'Brien also jumping into the mix as a new toy called Smarty Pants. Tom Hanks, we have returning, Tim Allen, Joan Cusack, all returning back to the film. And Andrew Stanton, the legend behind Finding Nemo and WALL-E, is directing Toy Story 5. And this movie is set to release in cinemas from the 19th of June next year. So let me just bring the trailer up for you for 2 seconds. And let me know in the chat, guys, are you fans of Toy Story in general? Alright, cool. Let me know if you can see it now. Can you see that now? No, you can't. All right, let me add a new one. There we are. Let me just move that. Let's move that over here. Just gotta resize some stuff so you guys can see it clearly. Obviously make the star of the show bigger, because you guys want to be here. No, I'm joking. All right, cool. Let's lock in to the Toy Story 5 trailer.
a package for you.
I was standing, you were there, two worlds collided, and they could never, ever tear us apart.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you!
Hi there, I'm Lilypad. Let's play.
All right, it's a quick under a minute teaser trailer. It looked pretty cool, can't lie, but nothing jumps out to me just yet. But yeah, it looks like Pixar are going back to their roots. You know, Toy Story is the franchise that started it all back in, like I said, 1995. We now have Andrew Stanton back in the director's chair. So that could mean like a real return to emotional storytelling after some mixed reactions to Pixar's recent stuff. I feel that the general feel of Pixar recently just hasn't been the levels that, you know, we're used to with Pixar, even though they have dropped really good animated films. But I just think cinematically people haven't left the cinema the same way that they used to leave a Pixar film, like watching Toy Story, like watching Ratatouille, and way more, even though some of the names have escaped my mind right now. I actually like the concept of the smart tablet. It feels very modern. Thematically, this could be Pixar's way of exploring how tech affects the imagination and play, especially for kids growing up in this new digital age. And I actually feel that it's quite a clever setup. And having Greta Lee voice that, who's hot right now, like, you know, hot actor, I think is a perfect combination. But the big question I have is, do we actually need another Toy Story? Because I felt that Toy Story 4 kind of just wraps things up really nice for Woody. In fact, I actually felt Toy Story 3, it should have ended there. That ending for Toy Story 3 was perfect, I would say. Maybe the film itself wasn't as good as 1 and 2, but I felt Toy Story 3 captured everything and just ended that story really, really well. Toy Story 4, I was like, you know what? I'm not mad at this, but I'm still gonna watch it. And to my surprise, it was a good film. So I'm excited. I am gonna be, you know, front row at Toy Story 5 at the premiere, at the screenings. You will see a review on my channel. But I also wonder if Pixar, and we're in this era now, you know, this nostalgia era where everything's a reboot or, you know, harking back to something that we once loved. But, you know, are Pixar leaning too heavily on nostalgia rather than trying to push these new ideas in animation? You know, box office wise, Pixar has had ups and downs. Inside 2, great film, by the way, if you haven't watched it, made over $1.5 billion at the box office. But a film like Elio that released recently really struggled. I don't think anyone I know went to the cinema to watch that film. So I get why they're bringing Toy Story back into the mix. It's a guaranteed smash hit. It will probably dwarf Inside Out 2. It'll probably make more than 1.5 billion. But yeah, let me know in the chat, did we need a Toy Story 5? Or are you a fan of the Toy Story franchise and you will always go and continue to watch them? What do you think about Pixar mixing toys with technology? Is it a cool concept, or does it stray away too much from the magic of having a toy that this franchise is known for? And also, let me know who your favorite Toy Story character is in the chat. You know, I want to know. But yeah, that was the teaser trailer for Toy Story 5, releasing in cinemas next year from the 19th of June. And that is all I have. That is all I have on Toy Story 5. Let me see what we've got here in the chat. Right, we've got loads of people here. Good evening, everyone locked in. Wicked. Don't think we need another one, but if we do, exactly. Like I said, Toy Story. We didn't need another Toy Story, but we're still gonna watch it anyway. And I'm glad that you agree with me with Toy Story 3. I feel they should have ended it then as well. All right, cool. Next up, we are taking it to the DC universe, and there is a new television show being made. So DC is taken quite a wild turn, and they are developing a Superman spin-off series called DC Crime for HBO Max, which is their streaming platform, but it's not your typical superhero show. So from this Deadline report, the series is going to be structured like a true crime docuseries with Jimmy Olsen, played by Skylar Gazondo. He featured in this year's 2025 Superman movie and actually became quite a fan favorite from that film. And this was the film directed by James Gunn. So Jimmy Olsen is going to be the host of this true crime docuseries. And season 1 is reportedly going to be focusing on Gorilla Grodd, who is the psychic gorilla villain who clashes with the Flash in the DC universe and has appeared in other adaptations. And just reading online, Gorilla Grodd dates back to like 1959 comic adaptation, so this is a long-standing character. The series is going to be created by Tony Yashenda and also going to be showrun by Tony and Dan Perrault, and that they are the duo behind Netflix's American Vandal, a true crime satire series that ran from 2017 to 2018. They're going to write, executive produce, and showrun the show with James Gunn. James Gunn is going to be involved in this TV series, and Peter Safran as well, also serving as executive producers and all the Warner Bros. Television people involved. But I actually think this is a genius idea, and it's a huge departure from standard superhero storytelling. It's a blend of true crime and comic book lore. Like if you had, I don't know, Making a Murderer, but with supervillains. It's quite a smart way for DC to explore stories that might not work in traditional superhero films. Gorilla Grodd, I don't know if you saw him in the Flash TV series from years back. He's one of the funniest characters. Actually, let me bring Gorilla Grodd up just to show you how funny he actually is. One sec. So, so this is Gorilla Grodd versus Barack Obama.
Barack Obama, it will almost be an honor to kill you. You will not escape. Grodd will complete his mission. Time to make America Grodd again.
So that is what you're gonna get with Gorilla Grodd in this TV show, if it turns out to be Gorilla Grodd in this TV show. And look, Gorilla Grodd, like, I know that's quite a funny scene, but Gorilla Grodd is a cult favorite, and you know, centering a TV series on that character could make for a really engaging, character-driven story that appeals maybe even to non-DC fans, maybe to casual fans. So there's that. I like that James Gunn is going to be involved in it. He's no stranger to blending humor, heart, and action. I mean, if we look at what he did with Guardians of the Galaxy, even the recent Superman movie and Peacemaker, which season 2 has been a smash hit. So his touch here could balance the dark crime elements with some fun, making it feel unique to DC. And I think if this format works, DC could spin off other villains. A Riddler case study, Joker, even though we've had so many Joker stories, Joker could work in this format. Maybe Lex Luthor, you know, I think this is such a clever way to bring in other stories from the comic book universe and put it out for the casual viewer. Making it into tie into movies or just keep them as streaming projects, and slowly build a new branch of interconnected storytelling. So I just realized I didn't have the news on there. So yeah, would you guys watch a DC villain focused true crime docuseries, or do you prefer traditional superhero stories? Should they stick to the same formula that we've seen them be successful in? Do you think Gorilla Grodd could carry a whole season, or do you think that character is too niche? If you are a fan of DC comic books or games or TV shows or films, which other DC villain would you want to be explored in this format? And lastly, does James Gunn involvement make you more confident in the series, or does it feel like an experiment? But yeah, let me know in the comments. But that is it on the upcoming Jimmy Olsen Superman spin-off series. And of course, when more news becomes available, I'll be keeping you guys in the loop. We'll see in the chat. I love all the Toy Stories. Okay, so you're gonna be in the cinema watching the toy. Okay, I think they should give it a try. I agree. I think comic book fatigue is there mainly because they keep doing the same thing. So I actually think that trying new things will work out really well. And there's nothing much. They're not going to lose anything. All right, cool. Let's take it to the next story, and we're going to be keeping it on television shows. And it looks like Disney and FX are not done with Xenomorphs just yet. Alien Earth 2 has been renewed for season 2, and the creator Noah Hawley also just landed a massive 9-figure deal with FX and Disney. So the man behind Fargo and Legion is doubling down on sci-fi horror. So this is just a recap of the article on the Variety. So production for season 2 is going to kick off in London in 2026, which is quite interesting because the first season was shot in Thailand. Alien Earth debuted earlier this year to strong reviews. If you haven't watched that show, add that to your list. It's a really good TV show. It does get a bit funky at the end, I would say. It does get a bit wild and wacky. They do kind of stray off the path of Xenomorphs and stuff, but there's enough in season 1 that I want to see, okay, how do you further develop this story and link it to the main Alien franchise? And I think there's something definitely there with Alien Earth. And basically Alien Earth is a TV extension of Ridley Scott's iconic Alien franchise. The show has really good actors, great acting performances, great character development, and a story that does keep you engaged. And it's definitely one of the most original series that I've seen in a little while that is part of an IP. Normally you get the same old stuff just in a TV format, but I felt they did really well with Alien Earth. But also let me know in the chat if you have watched Alien Earth, by the way. But yeah, swinging it back to Noah, they're one of those rare TV creators that has that film level storytelling touch. Fargo, Legion, and now Alien Earth, all different genres, but with a signature weird cerebral energy. And it looks like he's kind of building his own little thing, not little actually now because it's a big thing, his own creativeness with FX, with Disney. I mean, the new 9-figure deal means Disney is banking on him long term. We're not just going to see Alien Earth season 2 and 3 from Noah. We're probably going to see other great TV shows to come out. And it's interesting because FX has always been that edgier arm of Disney, especially with the streaming platform now. Most of the edgier non-fairy tale content is either on Hulu or FX. So I'm actually quite happy for that. I feel Disney Plus needs more of that. So it's like Disney saying, look, you're here on this side, you can get dark and weird, and we're still going to fund it, which is really good. Back to Alien Earth. I think what makes Alien Earth work is that it's not trying to retell Ripley's story. It's expanding the universe from more of a grounded human perspective. Like, what if a xenomorph comes to Earth? Like, what if? And that's what you see happen in the TV show. But now that we know what happens when a xenomorph comes to Earth, you don't want the same rehash of season 1. So season 2 definitely has to step up the scale. Like I said, it does get a bit funky towards the end, so I hope they kind of keep it still, you know, branch out the story and think of new creative things. But we want to see the xenomorphs, man. We want to see we know Alien for the xenomorphs, and we just want to see them eat people. That's basically what we want to see. And I kind of felt that it kind of went off that path towards the end of the series. So if they could rein that back in, add more tension, add more horror, add more of that alien dread, then I think season 2 is going to be even better than season 1. And look, FX in general has had a fantastic few years. They just keep dropping some of the best TV shows out there. Shogun, FX. Season 2 is actually in production, I want to say beginning of next year. And if you haven't watched Shogun, great show. The Bear, a highly nominated, highly loved TV show. Fargo, Alien Earth. So yeah, FX are on a little run right now, man, and I hope it continues, because we need more of these new, fresh narratives. It's not just the same rehash of stuff that we've seen. So yeah, let me know in the chat, did anyone watch Alien Earth? If you did, what did you think of it? Did it live up to the Alien name? And also, do you like this approach of expanding movie universes into TV, or should franchises just leave the films to be the films and come up with totally new ideas for television shows? Let me know in the chat. But yeah, that is the update for Alien Earth season 2. And of course, when more news becomes available, I'll be keeping you guys in the loop. If you haven't already, guys, don't forget to like the stream, share it if you can. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Last week, we had just passed over 700 subscribers. We're now at 712, which is crazy. So I really appreciate everyone subscribing. Like I said last time, the live show format for me was a big leap into something that I don't normally do, but people seem to be liking it. So, you know, one day you might see more than one show a week. You never know. But yeah, no, I really appreciate you guys, and thank you very much. 1 second. All right, cool. We are going to get to another season 2 of something, and this is a franchise that I'm a big fan of, and it is Monarch. So Apple TV is bringing the monsters back. So Monarch Legacy of Monsters has officially set its season 2 premiere date for the 27th of February next year. So new episodes will drop weekly until the 1st of May. And we got a teaser trailer as well. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to head on over to YouTube and watch the teaser trailer, which I don't have set up just yet. Let me know in the chat if you guys have watched Monarch Legacy of Monsters. But yeah, let's head back quickly to the video. All right, cool. All right, let's watch this.
Horizon has been defeated by the pirates of the New Age.
Attention surfers, the beach is closed. This is a high alert Titan area.
The things can go bad.
What the hell's that sound?
Make you wanna run away.
Yes. That ending was Godzilla's roar, and we did see King Kong in season 2 of Legacy of Monsters. So look, season 2 is going to be expanding the story in some big ways. Kong Skull Island is going to play a major role in season 2, which makes sense because we're diving deeper into the monster mythology. And if you don't know, this Monarch Legacy of Monsters is a spin-off series from the Godzilla King Kong franchise. So not the Toho one, but the Warner Brothers and Apple TV make this series. Season 1 was really good, but I wanted a bit more Godzilla in that season 1. So I'm hoping that we get more monster fights and battles and you know, all the usual stuff that you want to see when you watch a Godzilla or King Kong film in season 2. Great actors in this series as well. So you got Kurt Russell is returning as Lee Shaw, and his son Wyatt Russell, who in season 1 is back, who plays the younger version of him, which is pretty cool. So Kurt Russell plays the modern version of the character Lee Shaw, and then Wyatt Russell, because the show jumps back in time from 2 different time periods. So his son is playing a younger version of him, which is really cool, actually. We have Anna Suwai returning. We have Kersey Clemens, Ren Watabe, Marie Yatamoto, John Tippett, and Anders Holm returning for season 2. And the logline for Monarch, it says that Monarch and the world is on the line. Secrets from the past resurface, heroes and villains reunite, a mythical titan rises from the sea, and it all threatens to spark a titan-level event. Basically, the stakes are massive, and the drama is only going to get bigger. Look, man, from this teaser trailer, you've got me already. I mean, I'm a huge Godzilla fan in general, so I'm going to watch anything Godzilla. King Kong, I like King Kong, and some of the films have been good, but I'm more of a Godzilla. Like, Godzilla's my OG. So I'm happy that this is coming back. You can tell that they're leaning harder into the monster spectacle from this season 2. Skull Island, we've got more Titans coming. You know, there's more of that danger, that world-shaking danger, and that's exactly what I want to see. I love that, like I said already, Kurt and Wyatt Russell are returning back, because they do add a nice touch to the series, and it adds an interesting layer with a father-son dynamic in the main narrative. So that's pretty cool. There's new locations, there's hints of new locations, mysterious villages, Titans emerging from the sea. So what legendary monsters could we get in season 2? And in general, Apple are looking to grow the legendary monsterverse in general. So I'm actually curious to see what time period this season 2 takes place, because we just had Godzilla Kong, the New Empire. So does this take place after, or is this taking place slightly before? I don't know. But yeah, I just hope they do another banger of a season. Apple TV, one of my favorite, is currently my favorite TV platform, streaming platform for dramas, and they have the budget, they've got the right actors, so I think this is going to be another banger from Apple. But let me know, guys, in the chat, are you guys into Godzilla and King Kong? And are you happy now to see, if you watch season 1, are you happy to see King Kong now finally make a featured appearance in season 2? Do you think could Apple TV's Monsterverse turn into something like a Marvel Cineverse on the big screen? Because they got so much IP to pull from. This could be the start of something big, like really big. And yeah, that is all I have on Monarch. I've got some people in the chat here. Love Monarch. I think Monarch is brilliant. It's one of my favorite television shows, mainly because I am a Godzilla fan, and I'm glad we have a Godzilla fan, Monarch fan in the chat as well. So yeah, that is all the information on Monarch Legacy of Monsters season 2, which is premiering on Apple TV, no longer Apple TV Plus as of last week. Apple TV from the 27th of February next year. This is going to be the only trailer that I'm going to play because I don't play art trailers after the teaser trailer because they just end up ruining everything and putting all the main bits in the trailer. So, but if more bigger news like casting announcements and stuff come out, I'll keep you guys updated. We're sticking with Apple TV for the next news topic, and we're going to be discussing a new television series with Jason Momoa, and it's called Nomad. So Jason Momoa is set to star in this new television series called Nomad. It's co-created by Kurt Sutter, and that is the man behind Sons of Anarchy, which is huge. So any Sons of Anarchy fans there, you know what you're getting with Jason Momoa now in the TV series. And also Chris Collins is co-creating this, who's got credits like John Wick Chapter 3, The Man in the High Castle, and even credits for the HBO television series The Wire. So this TV show, this biker TV show, is looking serious, man. Like, you've got creme de la creme everywhere. So the setup is that Nomad is set in New Zealand's violent outlaw biker world, and Momoa is going to be playing a warrior caught between two lives, two call-ins and two families. Basically, which path defines who he really is. Collins is showrunning and co-creating the pilot with Sutter, and the episodes include Sutter through Sutterlink, Collins via Generator Entertainment, those are their production companies, and Momoa and Brian Mendoza through their On the Rome banner. Jason Momoa is everywhere, and this is going to be his third television show, I think off the top of my head, with Apple. So he had he's just coming off the Polynesian flavored Apple TV series Chief of War, which I started and it's really good, but I haven't gone back to it, so I do need to finish it. But that is a good television show. He's just done a biker docuseries for Discovery called On the Rome. What else is there? On the big screen, he just did a Minecraft movie, which made close to $1 billion at the box office. And now he's gearing up for the last Fast and Furious film, Fast 10 Part 2, which, yes, guys, is still coming out in 2027, alongside Vin Diesel, Dwayne Johnson, and Jason Statham. And he's back with Apple TV for Nomad, so he is everywhere, and he doesn't look to be stopping. Look, Jason Momoa seems to be the go-to guy that can do a lot of things. He's a very versatile actor. You know, he does grounded television shows like Chief of War, then he can do a Minecraft movie. This is quite a different role because now he's going to be playing more of an outlaw biker in New Zealand. So that's a new side we haven't really seen from him. So the question is, can he carry that gritty, emotional beat? We know he can do the action, but it's more the emotion side. And I think that's what Sons of Anarchy had the best of both. It had extremely, and I've not watched the television show, but from what I've heard from people who have watched it, said Sons of Anarchy had amazing storytelling, but also great action scenes, really good cinematography, and all in all, is some people's one of their best television shows that they've watched. So it's going to be interesting to see how Jason Momoa carries this character in the series. Kurt Sutter created Sons of Anarchy, but he never really got to tell the origin story of John Teller. So Nomad could be his chance to explore the raw, formative side of biker culture, but in a totally new setting. So that's a huge draw for a grounded crime drama series, and for Sons of Anarchy fans. The setting and tone I like already. New Zealand is known for jaw-dropping landscapes. I didn't know about Dark Underworld, so that's going to be interesting. So combining those two elements with an outlaw of bikers is going to set up for like a visually stunning but intense show, and I'm up for that. So, you know, it could be a Sons of Anarchy with more violence and a cinematic scenery, all wrapped into one. And yeah, look, we're gonna get more Jason Momoa. I am excited for this TV series. I've not watched Sons of Anarchy, so I might have to watch Sons of Anarchy before watching this. Maybe. Let me know in the chat if I need to. But I want to know, you guys, are you excited to see Jason Momoa in a biker drama, or do you want him sticking to what we know he normally does, you know, the fantasy and action blockbusters? Do you think Kurt Sutter could recapture the magic of Sons of Anarchy with a completely new story? And would you watch that? You know, would you watch a show that is a mix of visceral action, deep character drama, or do you prefer one over the other? Let me know in the chat. And of course, guys, when more news becomes available for this new Nomad TV show for Apple, I'll be keeping you guys in the loop. I love Kurt, big fan. All Apple TV knows is Jason Mamiya. Mama. It's funny, everyone gets his name wrong, but I know that's spell check. I feel like he just plays himself. This is it. Like he can come across kind of like The Rock, where you know what you're getting with Jason Momoa. With that said, though, I did like him in the last Fast and Furious film because he didn't play himself. So he might be able to carry that into this new Nomad television show. Maybe, maybe not. All right, we are getting... What are we getting to? Yeah, we're getting close to the end of the show. Cool. All right, we are taking it to Oscar Isaac. And we've got some Star Wars drama with a side of honesty. So Oscar Isaac says he might be open to returning as Poe in the Star Wars franchise, but only if Disney gets its act together. So in a new GQ interview, Isaac said that he's reconsidering his stance on returning to the Star Wars universe. For years, he joked that he'd only come back if he needed another house, but now he's saying he's open to it, with one condition. He's not exactly thrilled about working with Disney right now. He even said, quote, "If they can kind of figure it out and not succumb to fascism, that would be great." Extremely strong words. Oscar Isaac, of course, played Poe in The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, The Rise of the Skywalker, the recent new Star Wars trilogy. He also voiced the character in the Star Wars Resistance. I think that was a television show. And he's also part of Disney's Marvel side because he led the Moon Knight series, playing Moon Knight. So that quote definitely raised some eyebrows. So there seems to be some tension, not with just Oscar Isaac, but with Disney in general. You know, his comment does hit differently because he is already in the Disney family, Star Wars and Marvel. And for him to call them out publicly shows that there's probably a real frustration behind the scenes. And it's not just about creative control, it's about how Disney handles its people and the broader corporate culture. Would fans want Poe back? I don't know. I think that Poe as a character I felt was underused in that new trilogy. The character definitely had a lot of charm, and it was very likable. And we did want to see more of Poe, but I think that sequel trilogy has gone now. And I don't know. Maybe they could do a television show, a series focusing on him leading a new generation of pilots. That could work, because I think Oscar Isaac is a strong actor, and I think with the right story and character development, I think that show could potentially work. But yeah, I'm going to go back to the bigger issue at hand, and that is Disney's PR problem right now. And Disney has been catching a lot of heat from actors, directors, fans, the quality of their work, not just in Marvel, but just in general, whether it's about censorship, corporate influence, creative micromanaging. That Disney magic reputation has definitely taken some hits over these past few years. So it will be interesting to see how Disney restructures or tries to do things differently, because right now they are not looked upon as they once were, let's say 10 years ago. But yeah, that's just a quick not update, but quick information about Oscar Isaac. If you know him, if you see his face, you will definitely know he's in the Dune movies. Like I said, he played Moon Knight. He was in the Star Wars franchise. He's in other things, but I can't think off the top of my head right now. But would you want to see Oscar Isaac, if you are a Star Wars fan in the chat, would you want to see Oscar Isaac return as Poe? Or should, like I said, Star Wars just move on from that sequel trilogy era? Regarding Disney's PR, do you think Disney's handling of their franchises is getting a bit much, bit too corporate, bit too micromanagey? I know that's not a word, but you know what I mean. Do they need to switch things up over at Disney? Because this isn't the first time that I've spoken about Disney and bad PR in the same sentence. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. So yeah, if any more news comes out about Oscar Isaac and Disney, I'll be keeping you guys in the loop. All right, cool. Next up, and it's closer to home, we're going to get into some BBC drama. So the BBC is in the headlines again, and it's getting to a point now where it's quite hard to keep up, from scandals to resignations to editorial breaches. BBC, the broadcaster, is facing one of its biggest crises in years. So here's what went down. BBC Director General Tim Davie and Head of News Deborah Turners resigned after the leak of an internal report revealing serious problems with one of the network's flagship programs, Panorama. So what had happened is that the show had doctored footage of Trump's January 6th speech, and they basically spliced two pieces of footage together, and both of these pieces of footage were actually 55 minutes apart from each other. And them putting this together completely changed the messaging and tone of that video. And the leaked report has reportedly triggered Trump, and Trump has done what Trump does, and he's reportedly threatened to sue the BBC for $1 billion unless they issue an apology. And many insiders believe that with this threat, and amongst other things, is what finally pushed Tim to resign, to step down. And this comes on the top of a long history of scandals at the BBC. There's been sexual misconduct cases, bullying accusations of bias in coverage, widespread concerns over newsroom culture. Even there's been a report that they tried to fix the culture within the BBC with this £80,000 or $80,000 Call It Out campaign for the staff, and that has reportedly fallen flat. So Variety basically put this really, really long article going through a lot of the things that has happened. I'm not going to go through it because we will be here until next year, but just some highlights from it. The Panorama edit basically just shows how fragile the trust in the BBC, especially now. And when a current affairs program is caught changing the meaning of a presidential speech, Variety are basically highlighting that it's not just sloppy journalism. It's, that's a credibility crisis now, because now you're just fabricating. And don't get me wrong, you can feel how you feel about Trump, or feel how you feel about certain people in the limelight, but as a trusted news source, you have to remain impartial as much as you can. And I get different news stations will have a bias to certain things, but when Panorama done this so blatantly, that your credibility just goes down the drain. In the article, it highlights culture and accountability. Insiders described a newsroom where staff feel unable to challenge decisions, where edits are actually guided to fit a predetermined narrative, and where leadership is defensive rather than accountable. So if you add that to the breaches of being impartial, it's a systemic issue within the BBC. The Trump factor, I mean, the threat of $1 billion lawsuit, I don't think Trump was ever going to do that, but Trump is Trump. But it definitely lit a fire under management. And I think it highlighted a massive issue, which is what's happening with the BBC. And many believe that's why Tim resigned. And it's strange because why didn't he resign with the other ongoing scandals? And it raises the question of how much outside pressure influences editorial decisions now. You know, you can have so much stuff happening internally, but if your PR image on Twitter, on Instagram goes down the drain, then you start getting rid of people, which is crazy because it shouldn't be that way. It should be, if things aren't working internally, you fix them and you get it right, not what your PR image stays. But we're in this new world. And the long-term implications is that, like I mentioned already, the BBC has been a long trusted news source worldwide, not just in the UK. I was reading online, apparently it's nicknamed Auntie for its impartiality, which has gone down the drain with, you know, recent stuff happening in the news. So, you know, if internal issues are not addressed, if the leadership isn't right, and from what we see, you know, these recent resignations are just performative, that trust could even erode even further, which makes it even more difficult for people to trust the BBC again. So yeah, the next director or whoever becomes the head of the news department and stuff, they've got a tough job, not just to fix the image, but fix the system inside the BBC and get things right again. But yeah, let me know in the chat, guys. Do you think the BBC can ever regain the trust of viewers after an incident like the Panorama edit? And not, you know, there's been other stuff that they've been accused of. How much should outside pressure like Trump threatening to sue influence editorial decisions? And lastly, would you still rely on BBC for news, or did you get rid of them ages ago? Are you more of an Al Jazeera, or I don't know if you are Fox News, or do you get your news from more independent YouTubers, or are you still reading in the papers? Let me know. I'm keen to find out where people are getting their news from, because yeah, this is massive from BBC. Like, you wouldn't think in this day and age the BBC would make such a crucial mistake. It's mad. And yeah, that is what I have. I'll put a link to the Variety post once I upload this video. So if you want to, you can read it. It's a really, I mean, I didn't read all of it but from what I read, it's a really, really good piece because it goes into detail of a lot of things to do with the BBC. All right. How are we doing for time? Cool. We are in the last news segment. And this one, we're going to be talking about Sydney Sweeney, because honestly, guys, it's been a tough few months for her, actually. And I think for the first time in her career, she is facing real public backlash and is hitting from a few different directions. So first off, if you didn't know, the controversy started with this American Eagle jeans advert that released, I want to say like a month or two ago. And this is the one with the tagline, "I have good genes and good genes." And a lot of people felt that it sent the wrong message and leaned into ideas about privilege and race. And Sydney didn't say anything for ages. And then she recently, I want to say in the last 2 weeks, she did an interview and she kind of defended herself, but didn't say much. And the interviewer was asking her, "Hey, look, do you feel where people were coming from? Do you have anything, do you have anything to say about that?" And she basically said she knew what she was doing, that it was just a jeans ad, like as in like wearing a pair of jeans, and that she'd speak out when she actually had something meaningful to say. aka I don't care. I don't care what the internet is talking about. I'm just going to go on about my day. But of course, that hit Twitter, that hit YouTube, Instagram, all of that stuff. And the internet wasn't buying it. And the backlash got even heated even more. Then we have here this film, her new film called Christie, drops last week. And the box office numbers are rough. So Christie, which is a boxing biopic about real life fighter Christy Martin, opened to just about $1.3 million over 2,000 theaters at the box office. That is one of the lowest wide releases in recent memory, like low. And for someone of Sydney's perceived stature, that's really bad. Sydney, who both starred and produced the film, she starred in the film and produced it. She responded on Instagram saying that we don't always make art for numbers, we make it for impact, which I agree. Like I said about The Rock's film, where he went on Instagram defending the box office performance of The Smashing Machine, I do agree. I feel that you shouldn't make art for numbers. The numbers will come. You want to make it because you want to make it. You want to impact people's lives and so on. You just want to make the best art you can. She also goes on to say, she said that this was the most meaningful project of her life, highlighting how it raises awareness around domestic violence. And honestly, from a creative perspective, that's a solid statement. The film even scored quite highly on Cinema Score, which is it's like an aggregator for movies and TV shows. So it had a B+ in there. I think at the time it may have gone lower. It had like a 98% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So, but the critics absolutely didn't love it like the audience did. So, yeah, this film hasn't done well. And then I think like a couple of days ago, Ruby Rose jumped into the conversation and things just took another turn. So Ruby Rose, who's an actress, went on to Threads, which is Instagram's version of Twitter, and basically blamed Sydney for the movie's poor box office performance, saying that her acting and reputation hurt the film. She even called her, this is quoted, she called her a cretin. That's insane. Ruby also claimed that she was originally attached to the project, and that the early version of the script was incredible, and losing the role was disappointing. And Sydney Sweeney ended up taking that role. She also implied that Sweeney's political stance and comments have alienated parts of the LGBTQ community, and that is, that's what that's who Christy represented. Christy Martin represented. And then this is the last thing. So imagine this is all in the space of a few months. Rumors now, and this is making matters worse, there's a rumor going around tension between Sydney Sweeney and her Euphoria co-star Zendaya. So again, this is a rumor. This is not concrete. There's no concrete evidence out there, but the streets are talking, and apparently the two have supposedly fallen out, and they've fallen out over, Zendaya's mainly fallen out due to Sydney's perceived political stance and that Jean's advert. And there are some reports online stating that Zendaya doesn't even want to do joint promo for Euphoria season 3, which is out next year, because she doesn't want to be seen endorsing Sydney Sweeney. She doesn't even want to be near her. So nothing has been officially confirmed by their reps or by them personally, but the fact that this story is even circulating shows how much Sydney Sweeney's PR has absolutely tanked in the last 3 months. It really has shifted. And yeah, so this, to me, again, I don't really pay attention to much of what Sydney Sweeney does, but this feels like her first real PR storm. And it's going to be interesting to see how she navigates it. That interview that she did trying to explain the Jeans advert, she was very nonchalant. Her facial expressions, she didn't even look like she was bothered. She's been Hollywood's golden girl for a while. She's, you know, she gets really big roles, but you know, sometimes fame comes with a turn, and I think she's learning that, you know, you got to act accordingly, and the internet is teaching you that, man. And her fan base is mainly on the internet. She's not like a legacy actor who has fans off the internet and on the internet. Most of her fans are on the internet. Like I mentioned, I do agree with the point of a movie being about her movie Christie being about impact and not numbers. It is a valid statement, but when your name is tied to so much controversy in such a short space of time, even meaningful stories can get overshadowed by the negative press. And it's a reminder that in 2025, especially, the perception of you as a musician, you as an actor, or just a public person, sells just as much as the product. People now are voting with their pockets. If they don't like you, they're not going to endorse you. And yeah, look, this is it's crazy, because you would think she'll be able to sell through this, but yeah, it looks like that interview didn't do her any good. And yeah, I don't have anything more to say on this, because yeah, she's just been silly. And just, yeah, look, when more news becomes, like, let's say if this Zendaya news becomes official, you know, you'll be hearing it here first. But I want to know, you in the chat, guys, do you think Sydney's been treated unfairly, or did she bring this upon herself? Should actors be judged on their political views, or should it be just about the work? This is a question, especially in music, where, you know, artists have gone for jail for certain things. Can you separate the art from the artist? Can you do that for should actors be allowed to say what they want to say and continue with their work? And if you saw Christie, let me know, because it's not out here in the UK. I don't think I'm going to watch it anyway. But if you did watch it, let me know what you think. Did Sydney deliver, or is the film as bad as people have made it out to be? I'll be keen to know. All right, that is it for the news section. We've got some comments in here, so I'm going to go through those. That's nothing new. Zendaya hasn't liked Sydney for a while. Okay. Also to do with Tom Holland. I didn't know that. Interesting. She gets big roles because she's a Republican and what she stands for. Interesting. I have heard that she's got like Republican family and stuff. She took a photo, and that's how people started connecting the dots. And it makes sense as to why she was so nonchalant in that interview. All right. Cool. All right, we're going to take it to the first review of the night. And this is for a TV show that is already out. And it's on my favorite platform. And it's called Pluribus. I'm going to go on record now and say Apple TV is the best streaming platform for drama television. I don't think maybe HBO, but I think with what Apple has done in the last 2 years, the amount of content they put out, the quality of content, that the high quality, because you could put a lot of stuff out, but the quality might not be there. But Apple TV just seemed to strike every single time. They have missed a few, but most of their shows are quality. And this right here is another banger. So it's called Pluribus. It's Vince Gilligan's new series, and if you know that name, then you should know what we're getting in this TV show. So that is the man behind Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and it stars Rhea Seehorn once again, who starred in Better Call Saul, so they have reunited again. And I was fortunate enough to be invited to a special screening for the first 2 episodes. So I've only seen the first 2 episodes. But listen, this might already be one of the best TV shows of 2025. Straight away, I have to say, this is something that I've never seen before. It's sci-fi, but it's packed with so much humanity. Like, Gilligan clearly is playing it in this new sandbox but he hasn't lost that grounded emotional storytelling that, you know, that his TV shows are known for. Yeah, the pacing is slow, but it's intentionally slow. Like, it's intentional. Every moment, every bit of dialogue, every silence, every character movement, camera pan, everything about this show feels intentional, and it feels loaded. And the thing is, you actually feel it when you watch it. And maybe this is because I watched it on the big screen in a cinema. The sound was immersive and my chair was shaking and all that. Maybe, but I feel I would have the same feeling watching it at home. And I think episode 3 is out tomorrow, but you feel everything. And by the end of episode 1, I was like, all right, I'm in. It took, there's very few television shows after the first episode I'm fully in. Normally I need like 2 or 3 episodes to be like, all right, I'm going to continue watching this. Now visually, it's Apple TV, slick, clean, crisp. But what I loved is how, you know, Gilligan's blends the Apple polish with his own visual language. If you've watched Better Call Saul, if you've watched Breaking Bad, you know you had these long, wide, tense shots that make you feel like you're leaning into a frame. The way to describe it is if Better Call Saul met Severance at a dinner party and they just vibed out. That's what you're getting here visually. Now, I am not going to tell you about the plot for this, but when you find out, and you find out in episode 1, the concept is mad. Like, honestly, how on earth do you even think of this? I was at the Apple screening. I went with the missus, and I was being that annoying guy, constantly whispering, saying, "Nah, this is insane!" Like, oh my! Every 5 minutes, I'm like, I was amazed at how do you think of something like this. And Gilligan does something that just reminds you of how good him and his production team and his team of writers are good at building tension. Acting performances, we've not seen too many characters just yet, but Rhea Seehorn is phenomenal in this. She doesn't miss. The emotional range that she goes through in just the first 2 episodes, I was genuinely in awe. You can feel everything she's going through, the confusion, the fear, heartbreak, and it's all portrayed in such a raw and honest way. The world building is brilliant too. It expands with the story. The more you learn about what is actually going on, the more you realize how big this world actually, or how big of what is happening in this show really is. And it's one of those rare shows where the writing, visuals, and performance all are in perfect sync. So guys, look, if you love shows like Silo or Severance, this so far, based on the first 2 episodes, sits right next to them. And I have that same feeling. I remember watching Severance for the first time, and I don't normally binge. I binged that first season in like 2 days. I don't normally do that. So Pluribus gives me that same what am I even watching feeling in the best way possible. So it's streaming now. So the first 2 episodes are out now, and then it releases weekly on Apple TV Plus. And guys, definitely once you watch that first episode, you're going to be like, Lowery, thank you for putting me on Pluribus. But yeah, let me know if you guys have been watching it. If you haven't, you need to get onto Pluribus. It's one of the shows of the year. All right, cool. Getting on to another big film. And you know what's funny? I actually watched this film like 3 weeks ago, so I almost forgot to put this on for tonight's show. But this is a film that is releasing tomorrow in cinemas, and it's called Nuremberg. It's directed by James Vanderbilt, and it stars Rami Malek and Russell Crowe, and this is a heavy one. It takes us right into the Nuremberg trials after World War II, and this is a powerful film, man. Look, here's the thing. I went into this film knowing hardly anything about the Nuremberg trials. I knew slight basics, but I couldn't tell you much about it. But this film really immerses you in that environment. You feel the tension in the courtroom. You feel the weight of what's being discussed and the moral complexity of it all. Rami Malek plays Douglas Kelly, who is an American psychiatrist brought in to assess the mental states of the Nazi war criminals. And basically this film is the backdrop of how the international law actually came to be to what it is now. So this was the first time internationally people had been charged by countries rather than the normal court procedure within the country. And what's wild is that Rami Malek's character actually starts to become fascinated with Herman Goring, I don't know why I said it like that. He was played by Russell Crowe. And if you know that name, you know how high in the rankings Herman was in the Nazi party. Like, he was, I think, second in command right under Hitler. So he was big time. And so Rami Malek's character just becomes fascinated because you start to see events unfold. But Crowe absolutely commands every scene he's in. He's charming, witty, and extremely manipulative. And it put me in this weird headspace because I felt like I was Malek's character. You start to understand how people get pulled into this man's charisma. And it's uncomfortable at times watching this film because you're like, I shouldn't warm to this guy because of what he's done. So you're just sitting in the seat thinking, geez, this is mad. But at the same time, it also adds to some really strong storytelling. I think the direction of the film does a solid job of balancing the psychological side with the courtroom drama. It is a dialogue-heavy movie, but I would say for the majority of the film, it's never boring. It's tense, it's layered, and it really makes you think about what accountability and justice, what that actually means, especially in today's world. And after watching this film, it did make me reflect on the times that we're in, especially what we're seeing on the news and stuff. And it's just like, as a whole, as a society, we can do much better because we've got it. We're watching it in the movie. There's documentaries. We've seen this done before. So watching this film definitely makes you reflect on what's happening now. I actually was fortunate enough to speak to a historian after watching this film. It's just a random. I just asked a random person, "Hey, what did you think?" And they told me, "Oh, this is my YouTube channel," and they said that most of this film is pretty accurate. So there's some it's dramatized a bit, but the tone and detail, they got it more or less spot on. There were some stuff that they didn't include, which they were surprised that they didn't put in the film. And then they said, they would go and ask their friends who knew more about this topic as to why and why not. But overall, the film apparently does stick close to what happened. So you can tell the filmmaker and the production team did their homework. I'll say the pacing does dip a bit in places. It could have been tighter, but when it hits those emotional peaks, and by the end, the court drama scene where it's the back and forth, you're just locked in. The YouTube footage is out there. You can see the court trials, and literally like for like in the film, they got it on point. I think people will watch this film and think of Oppenheimer. I don't think this film, in terms of scope, is anywhere near Oppenheimer, but in how it deals with the moral grey areas, I think people will see a lot of similarities with that. And it's definitely a more intimate film in that way. But honestly, guys, I rate Nuremberg, man. I think this is a film that will, when you leave the cinema, it will linger. It will make you think not just of this time, but the times that we're in now and how we need to do better as a society, and leaders need to step up to the plate and do the right thing. And, you walk out thinking about justice, responsibility, and how easily humanity can lose its way. So this is a good movie. It's out in cinemas tomorrow from the 14th of November. Now, it does have Sky behind it, so I'm not sure if this is going to be on Sky Movies anytime soon, but yeah, if you're open, if you're into this type of stuff, then I'd definitely recommend giving this a watch. So that is Nuremberg, out in cinemas tomorrow. All right, cool. I know I've run over time, man. This is a long show. This is the last review for tonight, and it's the big one. I've had a few people ask me about this movie. Not a few, actually. I had quite a few DMs and stuff. And it's The Running Man. Yes, this is a reboot or remake or reimagining of the Stephen King novel of the same name. And this one is directed by Edgar Wright. If you know that name, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Scott Pilgrim, Last Night in Soho. That's the same man behind this new Running Man movie. And the original film that became that wild, campy 80s movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger became a cult classic. You know, that version was loud, flashy, and in a way like gloriously over the top. But this new version, this new Running Man movie is totally different. So this is a totally different take compared to the Arnie movie. And this film is more, it's basically more like how the book is. So it's gone back to the roots of the book. It's darker, it's grittier, more grounded, and leans more into the dystopian reality show nightmare side of things, rather than being this glitz and glam over the top 80s feel like the Arnie one. Now, Glenn Powell takes the lead in this movie, and I feel he's solid. I actually felt he did a good job. He's no Arnie, but again, he's not trying to be Arnold's character in this movie. He brings something new to the film. There's a quiet desperation to him in this movie. This is a man pushed to the edge by a broken system, trying to survive for his family. And it's a grounded performance that fits the tone of what Edgar Wright is going for in this movie. Speaking of Edgar Wright, the style is there. You know, the slick editing, the musical rhythm, the visual flow. You can feel his fingerprints on it, but it's Edgar Wright in like a feeling restraint. Like everything feels turned down a notch. And it feels like Edgar kind of sacrificed his unique style of what he's known for in his movies to serve more of the grounded story. And it does work, but a part of me definitely missed that Edgar Wright film. After the screening, someone said, if you didn't tell me, I couldn't tell you that Edgar Wright directed that film. And I definitely agree with them. There weren't really moments in the film that make you sit up and go, yeah, that's an Edgar Wright thing right there. And, you know, it's a bit of a shame, not gonna lie. But in saying that, the world building is well done. It feels believable. It's gritty. It actually doesn't feel too far from where our society could be heading with what's going with all the madness that's happening in this new generation. You know, you've got themes in the movie about fame, violence, and how people consume chaos as an entertainment. That still hits in this movie. And the film does lean into that social commentary, and I feel mostly it works in the film. The action is serviceable, but it's not breaking any new grounds, especially when you compare it to how bold the Arnie version was with the action. This is very tamed. And even so, when you've got shows like a little Squid Game, you know, this version of the Running Man doesn't even quite match the level of creativity in the Running Man games in the film. It does feel very safe. Coleman Domingo also stars in this movie. Absolutely brilliant when he's on screen, steals every scene he's in. I just wished we got more of him. And Lee Pace, another actor that I'm a fan of, criminally underused. Fantastic actor, but literally didn't get any screen time. Missed opportunity there. So yeah, overall, I would say The Running Man is a decent trip to the cinema, but it's something that I wouldn't rush to go and watch. There are some moments of fun, and I think most people will enjoy it, but for me, it doesn't quite balance everything that it's trying to do. The ideas are there, the performances are strong, but the execution for me doesn't always click. So Wright, for me, Edgar Wright plays it too safe in this version of the Running Man, and I feel he could have gone bolder with it and really pushed the boundaries with this film. But look, The Running Man is out now in cinemas, in all cinemas. I'm just checking the running times, and it's about just over 2 hours, 2 hours and 13 minutes. So it's a pretty long film. But yeah, that is it. That is my review done for The Running Man. Let me know in the chat if you guys are going to watch this, if you're fans of the original. And with that, it brings us to the end of the show. So I'm just going to hang on for a bit to see if any last comments come through. And I appreciate everyone sticking with me. I know I've gone over by the normal allotted time, but there was a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. So it was a good show. Oh, wait, I've seen some people. Pluribus is the... Oh, so you watched Pluribus. Wicked. Don't ruin it in the chat, but what did you think of the premise when you found out? Let's see if they respond. All right, I'm going to leave it as that. Cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for joining me tonight on the Everything Lowery Show. I appreciate you giving your evenings to the show. I hope it was a fun show, informative. Don't forget, if you haven't already, like the stream. If you haven't already, if you're new to the channel, subscribe. I'll be here same time next week at 9 p.m. on Thursday with more news and hopefully more reviews. I don't know what I'm going to be reviewing next week. Might give you some throwback stuff if I haven't got anything. But yeah, have a great evening. Have a enjoyable weekend. Stay safe. And I will catch you next week. Take care, guys. Peace.